To know yourself is to love yourself, and to deepen that love for yourself is to take what you know about yourself and use that knowledge to better yourself in ways that you know you need it. This is specifically for someone who is struggling, who just can't seem to get it off. When you're struggling, when it's been years and years on end, it goes so much deeper into the soul, into your spirit, of why you're having such a hard time. You have to consider what you went through, and this is where you really go in to find yourself. It took a long time for me to get to a place where I actually lost the weight that I was trying to lose, and I learned so much along that journey about weight loss. A lot of times we think about the mechanical parts of weight loss, what you're putting in to your mouth, what you're exerting out of your body, but we don't think about all of the other things that even got us to that place mentally, spiritually, and emotionally to be overweight. I mean, for some of us, we have been that way all of our lives and we don't really know, or it came on at some point when it's just kind of that way. I know when it came to understanding my relationship with food years ago, I didn't think I had a relationship with food. I would just say I like food and it just tastes good. You know, a lot of us say I'm a foodie, I just love food. Yeah, but it goes a lot deeper if you're at a point where you're overweight, obese, or even morbidly obese. It's not just the fact that you love food. And a lot of this has been uncovered and revealed to me by the Lord throughout my years of being on a weight loss transformation and journey, but more specifically within the past year and a half. And I just really want to shed light on that perspective of the weight loss. Yes, how you move your body is important. Yes, what you put in your body as far as what you eat is even more important, but it really hits down to a soul and a spiritual level. We've already talked about the mental changes you can take, the physical changes, the spiritual changes, and specifically about what exactly I did to lose so much weight in a small amount of time after struggling for over a decade. This video is the third video in my weight loss transformation journey series to group all of this information and deliver it at one time. And so in this video, we're talking about knowing yourself and loving yourself and allowing the weight to fall off of your body. Okay, now I'm going to do one more video in this series, and that's going to be coming after, so make sure you tune in with that if you're trying to get rid of that mom pooch. Okay, so first let me set the tone. In a place of my life, I realized that everything looked bad, everything felt bad. I had to come to a point where I realized that everything wasn't all bad. I was still living and breathing. I had a roof to live under. My kids were healthy and well, and I had food to eat, you know? So I went through that process of really picking out all of the goodness that the Lord had provided to me and that He had given to me in my situation. But outside of what I could see that was good, so many other things just felt a mess, like a hot mess. I didn't like where I was in my life, mentally, spiritually, or emotionally, physically, how I felt about myself, not just how I looked, but my personality. I didn't like where I was financially or career-wise, or even where I was in my womanhood or my motherhood. There just wasn't much I could say that I felt well about myself on paper. But looking at myself was the most obvious thing, because I had to do that every single day. Like so many of us do, I ran away from the camera a lot. I didn't want to take pictures because I already knew what I had going on. But my husband takes lots of pictures of me, a lot of off guards, like not where I'm posing. He just be taking pictures of me doing stuff for me with the kids. So when I saw a picture that he took, I just always be like, girl, what in the world, like how? And every time I tried to continue to lose weight, either a little bit would come off and come back on, I'd get a lot bigger, and it was just this constant yo-yoing. So after I took some time to really think about where I was, what was good for me, the good things in my life, but in all reality, the space I was in and what I was going through and how I was so unhappy with every portion, literally every portion of my life, I took some time to recollect some things of my past, not to really dwell on them. You know how sometimes we can think about something and then we end up replaying the whole story? No, I mean just like a flashcard of things that I've been through in my life. And I realized, dang Gab, you really been through some things, girl. And every day God still gets you up. You do what you have to do, and your body is still moving you. You've been put through all of this. You put yourself through all of this, but still your body is functioning. You can still see. You can still hear. You can still move. You can still operate. You know what I mean? And so I took some time in that moment. I was still laying in the bed to pull out my notes, and I was just typing away. And I actually still have it in my phone. I just called it healing, and like as you can see, it was a bunch of stuff that I just typed that I was healing from. I am healing every day. My body is healing. The body I've been unhappy with was a body created under a time of duress. God got me, and that time is over. So I give my body permission to relax. I give my body permission to let go. When I take a look in the mirror, I have to remember that my body is healing. My body is healing from pain. My body is healing from overwhelm. My body is healing from anger, heartbreak, frustration, stress, ignorance, pressure, worry, fear, lack, betrayal, victimization, disappointment. You feel me? Okay, you're where you are in your weight loss and struggling because of what your body has endured, because of what your spirit has endured. Now, some people go to lose weight for the first time and bang, bang, boom, they lose it. This is specifically for someone who is struggling, who just can't seem to get it off. When you have a weight loss goal, you set it in place and you go do it, you may have just had a problem or two that you resolved and you cleared it up. But when you're struggling, when it's been years and years on end, it goes so much deeper into the soul, into your spirit of why you're having such a hard time. You have to consider what you went through, and this is where you really go in to find yourself. You really have to find yourself to even know yourself. That comes with the looking back at the past, questioning yourself, taking accountability for your actions. So many of these things have nothing to do with food. So many times we end up turning to food because it's our happy place, or it's our joy, or it's one thing that we feel like is not going to disappoint us, or it just tastes good, or whatever. But there's something else that goes deeper than that, that even puts you in that space. How did people treat you? How do you treat yourself? What type of childhood did you have? What is it about you that makes you not want to stop when you taste something good? Is it your lack of self-discipline? Is it the fact that you had a time in your life where you didn't know when your next meal was coming from? There's so many things that tie to food that comes from our hurt and our pain. We put our bodies through a lot, and when you want to move through this journey of healing while you're losing weight, it's important to recognize that your body has been through some things, and your body deserves that time to really rest, to really sit down and take a moment and be like, okay, the chaos has stopped for just a moment. I don't know if I can settle down yet, but we're getting somewhere. You know what I mean? When you put your body on edge, it stays on edge. And even when you try to get in a place of peace and you're there for like a day or two, your body is still not sure if this is just some random period of time that you're relaxing, or if this is the real deal. And going through the process of finding yourself and knowing yourself does take intentional work. You do have to ask hard questions. You do have to speak to certain people in your life that may have affected you from the past, or read books, listen to podcasts, and do journaling, and or go to therapy. You have to do the work to understand yourself. I remember when I first came across the question in a YouTube video, probably about like 4 years ago. Who am I? That simple 3-word question, I didn't even understand what that meant. I didn't understand how to answer it, and I struggled with answering it for years. And every time I tried to answer it, it was the most shallow answers, because that's really all I had. If you don't know who you are, if you don't do the work to find yourself, you're never gonna know who you are. You didn't just become who you are. People have shaped us to be who we are to this day, and they still will try to if we're not aware of who we are. Your healing journey is such a big part of losing weight when you struggle to lose weight, because you are healing something in you that at some point somewhere has been broken. There are certain hormones in our body that control our weight, and there are genes that we have that can be turned on or turned off. I'm now at a place in my life where I can say I know myself and I love myself. I have times for sure still when I beat up on myself or say mean things to myself, but I can catch it now though. I've been trying to, for example, because I was just thinking about this morning, trying to get to a place where I can get up and start my day consistently every single day. And there are times where I get up later than I wanted to. I mean, even 30 minutes can make a huge difference. I realized after about 2 weeks of me doing that inconsistently, every time I got up at a reasonable time, I'd be like, yay. And then when I didn't get up when I wanted to, I'd be so mad, like, Gabby, you just keep doing this, man. How you really expect to make real change in your life if you keep waking up or getting up late? Like, you could have got, like, you could have got up 30 minutes ago. You felt that and you chose to keep sleeping. I'd just be so harsh to myself about it. And then one day when I did it again, I got up, I'm like, no, I'm not doing this today. I'm not taking it there today. I'm not about to keep talking to myself like that, because that's not how God would talk to me. I'm struggling right now and I have to give myself grace and understanding that it'll be okay. Today is still a whole day where I can get some things done and then try again tomorrow. And to me, speaking to myself that way produces a better effect than beating down on myself. And since I love myself now and I know how I want to speak to myself and love myself, I stop myself so I don't just continue in this spiral throughout the day or every single day. And that translates into loving other people. Like the Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. For the most part, we're going to treat people in certain areas how we would treat ourselves. If you're going to get mad at yourself for the way you do something, you're likely going to have that outpour on someone else. And when you have these things inside of you towards yourself, towards other people, you're taking your body out of that state of which the Lord created it to be in. Jesus extended his peace to us, and I really believe that you need that to sustain a healthy body. You have to know what you like and what you don't like. You have to know what you struggle with. Certain situations, once you overcome them, that's likely it, But there are some things in your life that are going to continue to be put in front of you over and over, because that's just how life is, or that's just how people work. And when you know yourself, oh, I don't even want to go down that route because I already know. We complicate things often, and weight loss can be complicated. But when your mind is confused, your body is confused. If your life is complicated, if you overthink and overanalyze things, already you're more susceptible to complicating things. The first time in my life where I really gained a lot of weight was around when I was 14. That's around when I got my first job. I used to stay almost every weekend with my best friend at the time. We were working together. We cleaned beach houses. On the days that we worked, we had basically takeout for the whole day. Breakfast after work, and then dinner, we would hit up Burger King, KFC, Taco Bell, or McDonald's, pizza, Chinese. And let me tell you, honey, I was loving it. I was loving it, okay? Because I grew up mostly eating home-cooked meals. We didn't have fast food that much. So when I could get my hands on some takeout, some fast food, some restaurant food, oh, I was busting down, okay? I was going into 8th grade. I jumped like 2 or 3 jean sizes. And so that could have been an indicator for me right there. Fast food, eating out, going out to eat is still one of my favorite things to do. It's still a hobby. It came on strong once I got to college and I was, a free-for-all in the cafeteria. That's when the FOMO started to click in. These are things that are obvious now that I didn't see at the time, and I still didn't see for years after. I really had to dig deep and ask hard questions. Sometimes the answer didn't come right away, because what's obvious to you now was not obvious to you in the time that you were doing a certain thing. So my love for something that I didn't get a lot of was one reason. Going through a period of time where we really didn't have food at home, and then having an abundance of food at college was another thing. There came a point in my relationships where I was constantly trying to make sure people around me were happy or liked me, especially if I had a boyfriend. So if he was offering me, food that I really didn't want or I really didn't need, I didn't want him to feel like I didn't want him or I didn't appreciate anything that he was offering me. I didn't know at that time that that's what I was doing, and I was hurting myself. These are just small pinpoints in my journey that I had to realize over time. And then once you know that you're doing it you're so used to doing it, and this is kind of how you're wired, that you really have to work to unwire those ways in you to be able to get to a healthy space in your mind, your spirit, and eventually in your body. Everything is connected, and we hear that often, but I think so many times this is looked over. I have seen so many weight loss videos. I used to be addicted to watching them. I mean, for years, any show that they might have had about weight loss, I've seen it. The Real World, I used to be fat, My 600-Pound Life, The Biggest Loser, Fit to Fat to Fit. I mean, all of that stuff I watched for motivation. I watched to learn. I watched because it was interesting. I loved seeing people's transformation. I was just into it all, and it didn't matter how much I watched. The motivation did not stick. I only learned so much that could take me so far, because this weight loss is very personal. It's very spiritual. And there's only so much of somebody else's story that will actually help you, unless their situation aligns that closely with your own. You have to know yourself. You have to reflect, look back on your life, some of those hard things in your life that you may not want to. The healing journey is so real, and it ties in so deeply with weight loss. You'd be surprised how just telling somebody something that you never told could lift such a big weight and a big burden off of you. It literally feels like something got lifted off of your body. That's how I started to feel when I started to unburden myself and my feelings about some of the things that I endured. Some things I might have talked about on my channel already, and some things I just let them go with the Lord, because there are some things that you know and you feel, but you try to run away from in your own head. But you can't run away from yourself. You can't run away from the Lord. In the minute that you surrender whatever that is unto Him and just speak it out of your mouth, because sometimes it's so hard to even just say it. You don't even want to say what you did. You don't even want to say what happened to you. That's how I was anyway. I used to have this huge paranoia that if I said anything, that someone somewhere would hear me, even if there was no one around. It's actually crazy, but that's how traumatized I was about some things of my past. But you'll find that once you get it out, you really start to see and feel how good Jesus is for what He died for us for. Like, He died for you to be able to let that go. You know what I'm saying? Really still be happy and live your life despite what you went through. You know what I mean? And you really start to feel that come off of you in the moment you do that. There's a peace that comes over your body. That's real. You can't make that up. And your body is able to downshift into another gear. Like, okay, we're getting back on grounded level. We're getting back to a safe space. You have to have trust with God. You have to have trust with yourself. And when you start letting that stuff go, your body can start really functioning the way God designed it to function. And then the more you start speaking this stuff or writing this stuff, because sometimes it helps to just write it out. That's what I did when I was harboring so many emotions that I didn't even know how much I was holding on. After my dad died, I felt really sad at first when I first found out, and then I just got numb. And then over time I realized, like, dang, I'm still mad at this guy. My dad showed a lot of favoritism, and we've had conversations that just made me feel like he, I guess, kind of wish I wasn't born when I was born, because he was so not ready for me. And all of that stuff just piles up. You don't think about it, but it's there and it affects you. It's your body holding on to something, and it's creating a block in you that God wants to bring peace in. He wants to allow pouring in, but what you're holding on is taking up that space. Your body needs to be able to relax, to do all it needs to do to melt the weight off. When you want to exercise, your body needs that energy to exert into your workouts, whatever you're doing, walking, running, dancing. But you already using so much of it, harboring onto something that you're not even realizing or thinking about that you're harboring, because it's been so long. And if you want to write it down, you can always burn it, rip it to shreds, or whatever. You just have to get it out. I've mentioned before that I wrote my dad a whole letter, and writing that letter, that's when I really realized, like, oh my gosh, I'm really so mad at him still, because I just wanted him to love me. I just wanted to feel loved, you know what I mean? And I didn't feel loved. And I sent the letter in the mail. Of course, it didn't have like a real address. I don't know, I'm sure the post office probably threw it away or whatever. I didn't care, you know. I just got that off of me and I let it out, and I just started to feel so free. This is stuff that happened over the course of years, because I was kind of just going as I went with life, you know what I mean? But it all got me to that point that day in my life where I had to sit down and really think about, girl, you've been through all these lists of things. Give your body some grace. Give your body some time. Give your body some love. And that's what we really have to do. Your body needs that. Your body deserves that. Give yourself some space and allow God in. He will help you get through these things. He will connect you with people, with sermons, with teachings, with words that will reveal things to you that will help you. Both of the batteries on my camera died. Can you believe that right now? So I'm just sitting here on my phone. I am so appalled because I checked both of them before I started recording, and the light turned green on both of them, and now both of them are dead. So I'm gonna just go ahead and wrap this up. But you'll just become so used to your history. It'll become so normalized in your head that you're not as traumatized about it as you used to. You're not afraid of it. You don't run from it. And so you're able to move past it and you feel free. When it comes to the mechanics of weight loss, we all know what it takes to eat well and to move your body, even just a little bit. But the only reason that is so hard is because of our mental and spiritual and emotional state. If your body can move, it can move. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. There's people who are extremely in shape that are missing limbs, missing huge parts of their bodies, and are still in shape. If you have access to food, you can lose the weight. Even if you don't have the best quality cut meats, even if you don't have the freshest vegetables, you can lose the weight. It all attaches to what's going on internally, what's going on the inside. And at some point, you're going to need a bigger strength to help you uncover and see what it is you need to see to be able to grow and move through this internal system of hurt and pain, neglect, rejection, whatever it is. Even if it's a physical pain that you have, that physical pain comes from internal. The sickness and illness is inside. It's inside. The things that you've gone through really do affect you even in today. If it's something that still bothers you on any level, if you think about it for a minute or two and it can make you sad again, it can make you upset, it can make you angry, it can bring you to a place that is outside of where you were a minute before you started thinking about it, it still has some sort of possession over you. And your body needs to let that go, and the Lord wants you to let that go. The internal healing factor is huge in weight loss. It's huge in your health. My dad passed away when he was 40 from a heart attack. And I truly believe with everything in me that there was something deep within him emotionally and mentally and spiritually that got his body to that point. Because what? That's so young for you to be affected in such a way by something like that. Give your body the time it needs. Stop putting these timelines on your weight loss. Just make the changes, many of which we've already spoken about in previous videos or ones that you've come over yourself, because again, this is personal. Give yourself grace, be patient, but have self-discipline as well. Know that God is with you. Invite him in to your weight loss journey. Be kind to yourself. Figure out who the real you is and know her or him and start to love them. Respect them, and you will get there. God knew what he was doing when he created us. Turn to him, surrender to him, go on your healing journey with him, and that weight will be released. The hurt, the pain, everything attached to that weight will go with it when you do it with him. I'm so sorry that the video had to wrap up this way. Like, I'm so embarrassed. This is so ghetto. Please forgive me, but I really hope y'all enjoyed the video. Y'all stay tuned for that mom pooch belly that will be coming up after this one, and then we will be moving on to our next series. I hope y'all have been enjoying it. I love y'all so much, and into the next one. Peace and love.